All right, real quick before we get into the episode, boys, we have noticed that over 95% of viewers are not subscribed to the channel. Please subscribe right now if you want to stay up to date with all the latest Waterboy content. We're uploading, I guess, 8 times per week, technically, on YouTube, if you include shorts. So we're uploading frequently on shorts. Subscribe, make sure you don't miss any Waterboy content.
Let me also add to that. We'll be starting up more consistent live streams in the near future. So that's something
Don't
that you're going to want to pay
those.
attention to.
Yeah.
The shorts, obviously, you don't want to miss. It makes all of our content way more digestible. You'll love it. Every podcast episode, you don't want to miss those Tuesday, Thursday mornings. It's so much easier than having to look us up every Tuesday and Thursday. It's just right in your feed. All right. You can even turn on notifications and get notified whenever we upload anything.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we're just trying to make it easier on you guys. That's the easiest way to find us and reach us. So yes, that's the way to go. Like and subscribe, boys. All right. Okay. Pre-show shenanigans. Everett, there are a lot of things happened over the weekend. There were so many moving parts, but we gotta discuss the real important things first. What Messi did over the weekend, again, it's kind of hilarious. He is an American sports hero. I'm still not ready to put this over his Publix appearance and the lack of, I guess, superstardom that Messi should experience at a public grocery store. But regardless, Messi scores a goal and then hits a free kick to tie the game with about 10 minutes left in the League's Cup, which, to be honest, I'm not entirely sure what it is, but that's what Inter Miami's playing in right now. I think MLS is on a bit of a break or something. Also, I don't know their schedule. Don't know shit. But Messi's
I know
playing
absolutely
right now.
nothing.
Yeah. Well, you are. I'm trying to think of like a soccer ball term to give you something.
Nethead.
Maybe nethead. A foothead. A techer's head. We'll go with that. A footy head. We know you're the big footy head on the pod, but yeah, Messi hit another free kick to tie the game. It's official, guys. We can already mark this down in the books. He's more of an American sports hero than Chris Paul. Chris Paul has never taken his team over the top to get major points at the end of the game, to do something significant for any franchise he's played for. Messi's already done that twice in about a month. So,
yeah, I mean, he's more than of an American sports hero than Chris Paul, but he's still not more of an American sports hero than the GOAT Scott Foster.
Oh, hell no.
Has not reached that level of
nothing can compare to the amount of impact Scott Foster has on any athletic event. Okay, like if we're just talking now, most valuable player, Everett, correct me if I'm wrong, but the most valuable player is the man who impacts their team's outcome more than any other player in that respective league, and no one does it better than Scott Foster. Maybe Angel Hernandez, but Scott Foster.
Yeah, he's the MVP.
Yeah,
notorious MVP.
The enforcer, the extender. Nothing gets by Scott. Okay, he's the eye in the sky. He sees everything. He does everything. He's in control of everything. So there's no debating Scotty F. But yeah, like on a serious subject, what Messi's doing right now is hilarious. I just wanted to say, when that Pac-12 deal came out last week in the initial reportings where it was going to be an Apple TV cut, some of my favorite replies were, well, how much of a percentage is Messi getting of the new Pac-12 deal? That one of my favorite comments to see in there. So
yeah, I mean, that's a good question, though. That is a good question, to be honest.
It'd be really funny if Apple TV's like, hey, this Messi fee, that applies to all live content. That's not just the MLS guys. So yeah, Messi will be making 10 to 20% of the Pac-12's revenue.
Yeah, he's actually just like a 50% owner of Apple now.
How funny would it be? Like, I know conferences aren't owned, but if it just got announced, like Lionel Messi has invested in the Pac-12 and now has a 40% stake.
Let's clarify. Conferences aren't owned, but FSU certainly is.
Yes.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
We'll get to that. Stay tuned. Conference realignment in a second, because wow, a lot of moving pieces have happened. There's going to be a lot of moving parts with 2024, what the rules are currently set up for. Everett, if I were you right now, I would be so hyped on the 5 conference winners getting auto bids. So if I were Tulane right now, we're sitting there like, hey guys, conference realignment's great. We love it. No problem. 2024, let's run it. Keep the rules. No changes at all. But we'll dive into, there's something that the fear that I've been thinking is going to come. It might be happening sooner than we thought, folks, but okay. Let's get into the biggest topic over the weekend. Okay. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to one of the most important episodes of the Waterboy podcast ever recorded.
Arguably the most important episode we have ever had.
It'll be hard to top the inaugural Waterboy Awards, but if there's anyone that'll do it, it's this. If there's anyone that'll do it, it's this. So, Everett, we gotta start off with the most important news over the weekend. Massive fight over the weekend between Jake Paul and Nate Diaz. Everybody was talking about it. Everyone was expecting this to be the talk of the weekend, but no. The real main event occurred between the Chicago White Sox South Side and the Cleveland Guardians, between Jose Ramirez and Tim Anderson. So, real quick, Everett, I think we should start off with the fight itself. Would you like to preface kind of how J-Ram was inspired to begin this fight? You want to go over what Tim Anderson was doing throughout the course of that series and in previous matchups between the Guardians and White Sox, which led to this confrontation? Or should I do that and you dive into more interesting follow-up? It's up to you.
I'll give the premise, then you can elaborate, and I'll dive into the interesting follow-up. So the biggest thing is, if you didn't get to see it, Tim Anderson sliding into second, all right, and the confrontation begins
other way around. Tim Anderson covering second.
Covering second. Jose Ramirez is sliding into second. That is where the confrontation starts. Now, Grant, you can go in and explain why this is been consistently an issue.
So specifically in this series, it's been happening all year, and also Tim Anderson kind of has a reputation for being this kind of player when he is guarding second base. But Tim Anderson has a tendency to push players off when they're sliding into second. He tries to push their hands off, get them out. Baseball players, you're going to try to find a way to win. You're going to try to do what it takes. But Tim Anderson, it's just brutally obvious that he's trying to push people off the bag. Everyone's sick of it at this point. It's been a recurring thing. Everyone's aware that Tim Anderson tries to do this shit, and it's just been annoying. And the shit boils even more over when it's an interdivision opponent that you're playing frequently, and they got to deal with this every single year more often than other teams. So Tim Anderson has been aggravating the Guardians and the rest of the MLB by trying to push people off. And J-Ram had enough of that bullshit. All right, J-Ram had enough of that shit. J-Ram is clearly safe at second. No problem there. And Tim Anderson's trying to push him off. So J-Ram gives him a little bit of word on it. I think he may have hit Tim Anderson on the cap, which is like the cardinal sin. It's like the most disrespectful light thing you can do on a baseball field is touch someone's cap or brim. So Tim Anderson took that as it's time to fight, which is exactly what that means. Like in that situation, if I was Tim Anderson, I think I'd be a little bit aware that I'm a little targeted. Everyone's aware that I'm trying to do this shit. I'm being annoying. I'd have a little more, self-awareness if I was him. But Tim Anderson's like, nah, you just touched my cap. All right, time to throw down. So Tim Anderson drops the gloves first. We need to highlight this part. Tim Anderson is the one who initiated the fight. Like technically J-Ram tipped his cap, but it all started because Tim Anderson has been pushing people off the bag. That's why J-Ram did it in the first place. Then Tim Anderson gets the brim cap and immediately drops the gloves, to which J-Ram probably has been waiting for this moment his entire life. Now,
he's ever since they started playing the White Sox this year, he's been like,
and this has been going back. Like Tim Anderson is not a very liked player in the MLB. Like players do not like Tim Anderson. So this could have been boiling up.
Do you think that if you're somebody on the White Sox, you also have been waiting to see him get his shit rocked?
So we're going to dive into this in a second, where a former White Sox player who was recently traded, I forget where he was traded. I need to look up his name. I'll get that in a second. But he has recently exposed the entire White Sox clubhouse for their new leadership and management. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Pete Rose did something right. Or not Pete Rose. Tommy, holy shit. God damn it. I'm forgetting his name. The old shithead. God, this is bad. La Russa.
Yeah.
La Russa actually might have done something right. Like, although he forced the Yerminator into retirement, which is probably the biggest sin of any MLB manager's career, forcing the Yerminator into retirement. He might have done something correct, because this former White Sox player absolutely lit up the organization, saying there's absolutely no rules. There's no leadership in the clubhouse. He specifically called out Yasmani Grandal and Eloy Jimenez for their lack of.
Let's get back to the literal, to the fight itself. Though.
Back to the fight.
First thing, so obviously you mentioned Tim Anderson dropping the gloves first, and you said that's the key point. I have never seen somebody look like they know what they're doing so much like Tim Anderson and immediately get their shit absolutely handed to them. He looks like he has
practiced boxing before. Like the way he was squaring
up. He had his arms up. He had his arms up. The right fighting position didn't look awkward at all when he's trying to jab. Like he looked like he'd been in the ring once or twice.
He looks like he's done that.
And then Jose Ramirez went all Khabib on his ass.
Jose Ramirez had a perfect little ducking hook. Perfect contact on Tim Anderson
to the nice little jawline right there.
And you could just see it in Tim Anderson's eyes. Like he was out for at least a split second.
And also let's keep in mind, this wasn't pay-per-view.
No,
we got the better fight.
You did not get charged for that. Well, there might have been blackouts in those regions. If you live in Chicago or Cleveland, you probably weren't able to watch this, but anywhere else you can see it. Shout out MLB Network and their blackouts. But yeah.
But here's the best part of all this. Outside of all the videos of slow-mos of Tim Anderson getting rocked in sonic rings, getting blown out of him. That's my favorite, by the way. Suspensions have come around for this fist fight. And
one man also got suspension. I didn't even realize he was involved in the fight. Class A.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. Insult to injury for Tim Ramirez, for Tim Anderson, quite literally in this case. Tim Anderson has received a 6-game suspension for getting his ass knocked out cold on national television, and the man who did it to him has only received a 3-game suspension. Props to you, MLB. Props to you.
And shout out Emmanuel Clase. I only am bringing this up because he's on my fantasy baseball team. Shout out the boys. We're making a playoff push right now, but I'm only bringing this up because of the fantasy baseball team. But Clase somehow got a 1-game suspension. I didn't even see he was involved in the fight.
It looked like he held J-Ram in a chokehold after he connected.
Potentially, but the thing that's most surprising is that Clase wasn't even the pitcher on the mound when this happened.
Yeah.
Like, he ran in from the bullpen and got involved.
Yeah,
Clase recently, Guardians fans know better than me, he hasn't had the greatest outings recently, and maybe actually the 1-game suspension is good for him. He probably could use a day off. Like, he needs to reset right now. So I'm actually not that against the Clase suspension.
Let's just point it. Not only did Tim Anderson get knocked out cold on national television, will be a meme forever because he tried to walk back and kept falling on the ground. Now he's also suspended the most out of anybody else because of it.
So, okay, let's start with this. So the last really crazy MLB fight that we all know and can think of is Jose Bautista versus Rufin Odor. And I'm looking up the suspensions from that. I cannot find Bautista's suspension, and to be completely honest, I'm not entirely sure if he got suspended for it because he did not start the fight. Like, that fight happened because the year before Jose Bautista had the famous bat flip on the Rangers, and that really pissed off the Rangers, and so that's what led to this fight. But Odor was suspended 7 games for landing that punch on Bautista. This is the difference, though. Bautista, although it was one of the cleanest punches, one of the cleanest connections I've ever seen, forget in a baseball game, just in any athletic fighting spectacle, okay? But Bautista ate that shit. He did not drop. Tim Anderson dropped. And Tim Anderson got a bigger suspension than J-Ram, which
that's just the best thing that I have ever seen.
I love it so much.
Okay, last thing in the MLB, though. Hard to talk. We can't top that, but
yeah, it's gonna be really. I mean, the rest of this episode, thank God, conference realignment happened because that would be hard.
No, I got a pretty funny story. I don't know if you've seen it, but I got a funny NFL story that involves Peyton Manning. last thing that I want to say about the MLB, Joe Kelly is most definitely back. I don't know if you got to watch this game. I think it was a couple days ago. It was on August 4th. Joe Kelly comes in to relieve the Dodgers versus the Padres, and
strikes out Tatis and Soto.
The Predator,
Soto and Machado.
Fernando Tatis is up to bat. Fernando Tatis might be the softest human being on the Padres team, the Padres organization. Joe Kelly threw 2 balls, not remotely close to Fernando Tatis's head, not remotely close to his head. 2 balls. Both times Tatis flipped himself onto the ground, acting like it was headhunting in football. Neither of which the ump fell for. And then on top of that, he struck out swinging. Or was it looking? He struck out looking.
Not entirely sure how he struck out.
Either way, he struck out, which is even better. Even better.
Yeah, let's just say, the Dodgers-Padres beef has like really been boiling over recently in recent memory. Like, we are really getting chippy on the field with them. Like, I swear, every Machado at bat, every time he strikes out, we're on the verge of a fight every single time he strikes out.
All that I needed, I'm watching it right now, by the way. All that this needed to be perfect. Oh, he struck out looking, by the way. All this needed to be perfect is the Joe Kelly signature looking back, just the pouty face. That's all I needed.
You're gonna cry.
You can cry about it. That's all I needed. But yeah. That's the last thing.
One thing about Joe Kelly, where at the end of his time in LA, in the last stint, he was getting rocked a couple of times going out there, but that first season Joe Kelly in 2020, I just liked the emotion that he showed on the mound. When he got big outs, he let you and the whole stadium know how he felt about getting those outs. And I think that emotion is might be what this team's missing. I was hearing an interview the other day. I forget who they had on. Brad Paisley. It was so funny. I can't believe I'm about to agree with Brad Paisley on a Dodgers.
Brad Paisley, like the musician,
yes,
right?
The country musician. And I had no idea he was a Dodger fan. But he is a Dodger fan. I would expect the Braves.
He seems like he'd be like an Astros fan or like a Braves, like a Phillies fan. I don't know why I got Phillies
any country
vibes.
guy's a Braves fan, but yeah, Phillies potentially too. Texans or Houston works too. But he was a Dodger fan. The point he was making was that, although JD Martinez statistically is performing out of his mind, he was saying that losing Justin Turner might have just lost like a little edge in the clubhouse, like a little bit of leadership, just like a veteran presence, a guy that people can look up to, which to a degree, I agreed with him. And once again, last year, Justin Turner, our opinions of him when it came to the postseason, but for the last 2 months of our season last year, Justin Turner was the best player on the team. It was. Yeah. I can't believe I'm saying it.
Unfortunately, he was.
I do think adding guys like Kelly back, like Kike back, just getting dudes who can make a big difference in the locker room. If shit's not going well, they can make a difference, help pick up the team. So I do think from that perspective, I really like the Kike move. I'm totally on board with it. Lance Lynn, if he's not going to pitch well in the playoffs, at least he can teach Bobby how to do a little better strikeout strut, a little more crotch grab in there when he strikes someone out, get them a little more pissed. We can at least improve those aspects. Also, we are teeing off on the Padres right now. It's currently 13-5 in the top of the 6th. We were down 5-0. We put up an 8-run.
So just going back to how everybody hates Tim Anderson, by the way, this is a report that just came out an hour ago. Yasmani Grandal, player for the White Sox, he wanted to leave the day before the All-Star break because he wasn't in the lineup. And Tim Anderson reportedly said, quote, "Fuck him. If he doesn't want to be here, I will personally pay for his flight." Grandal walked over to Tim Anderson and slapped the living shit out of him.
Yep, well deserved. I think if anything, we've realized in the past 72, 96 hours maybe, is that Tim Anderson's an asshole. If there's any takeaway from this, is that Tim Anderson deserved this shit. That's the only major takeaway I have. And let's just say, thank God we didn't trade for him. Oh, I also just want to say, Everett, guess how many home runs Tim Anderson has this year?
8?
No, it's the same amount of times he's been knocked out on a professional baseball field this season. He has 1 home run.
That is amazing.
Yep.
That is amazing. Oh my God.
Yep. Yeah,
wow.
Tim Anderson might be the only player in MLB history to have as many home runs as the amount of times he's been knocked out during a professional MLB game. So yeah.
I hope he does not hit another home run the rest of this year.
It'd be real. Miguel Rojas, let's get him into 2. Miguel Rojas more home runs than Tim Anderson this year.
Last thing in the MLB before we move, all I want to say is I told you so about James Outman. I will keep telling you. Keep saying this, but
James Outman has returned to
also if you are been a consistent Waterboy fan,
been a what?
If a consistent.
I heard a different word for a second, but okay.
What did you think I said? No. What did you think I said? No.
I'm not repeating it. I don't want to go back and censor it.
Okay. Still, if you've been a consistent Waterboy fan, or if you're a new one, I before the season started said that
not quite 800 OPS, but shit, for the sake of the
James Outman was going to have a very good year, and Grant said that he thinks that James Outman is not good, and that he will.
Well, I fear he's going to fall off. That's what I said.
And that he was not going to have a good season. I once again come back showing my proof.
He's playing really well right now. He's getting massive hits when we need it. I'm super impressed with him. I couldn't give less of a shit about the strikeouts. Who cares? Okay. He's putting in work. He's fielding really well. I could see actually a future Gold Glove for Outman. I like when it comes to like right field or the corner outfield positions, I feel like you need a stronger arm. You need to get some putouts. You need to get some outs with your arm to get that Gold Glove. But center field, it kind of just comes down to flashy plays and just a high fielding percentage and not making errors, which I could see some Gold Gloves for Outman. He's playing really, really well in center. So yeah, Outman really does look like our center fielder for the future. I'm loving him a lot. I'm more than pleased with how he's coming along, unlike Miguel Vargas in AAA right now. But yeah.
Cannot say that Vargas is having the season that we.
Kershaw will also be returning this week back into the rotation. Big time addition that we needed. Also, Ryan Pepio has been reinstated from the DL last week. Not sure exactly when he's going to be getting his rehab starts, but Pepio had a 3.5 ERA last year in the MLB. We would kill for a 3.5 ERA starting pitcher right now. So Pepio, maybe the answer has been there the whole time. All right.
Let's get into the segment most people are probably waiting for: conference realignment.
Yeah, we don't need to spend too much time on Anthony Davis getting 186 million. I think you guys already know our thoughts on that.
Conference realignment.
Conference realignment. Everett, the Pac-12 lost 5 teams on Friday.
It is now the Pac-4.
Pac-4. For branding purposes, they'll stay as the Pac-12. The Big 10, which is now the Big 18, probably will be the Big 20 by the time 2024 rolls around, but they are still the Big 10. But yeah, the Big 12 has officially added Arizona State, Arizona, and Utah, and the Big 10 has officially added Oregon and Washington. Shout out Brutus, the Ohio State mascot, for leaking the Oregon news a couple weeks ago. I to a degree thought it might have been kidding, but you don't say big things coming unless it's a conference move. So yeah, Brutus leaked it a couple weeks ago. So yeah, right now the Pac-12 is the Pac-4, Washington State, Oregon State, Cal, and Stanford. Right now, Cal and Stanford, I think, are meeting with the ACC to potentially join them. And the ACC is looking, instead of the Atlantic Coast Conference, the Cross Coast Conference, the CCC. I hope that's
interestingly enough, too, by the way, I have seen reports that the AAC also might want to absorb the Pac-12.
The Pac AAC, the Pac CC. I think we can get it done. I think it could work there. Hopefully that one's on Apple TV deal though. But real quick, I want to go back to that Apple TV deal because we didn't really talk about it much last time, Everett. But essentially what the Pac-12 was trying to tell Oregon, Washington, Arizona State, Arizona, Utah is that if you guys really help promote the Apple TV subs, like, and we can gain X amount of subs, then maybe we'll be on the same level as the Big Ten and SEC when it comes to media revenue. Yeah, that was enough for Oregon and Washington.
And let's clarify too, this is the new deal that was replacing the shitty deal.
Yes, exactly. So another thing that I want to bring up is that right now, like the Pac-12 losing USC, UCLA, it already wasn't doing great, or popularity wise. People weren't even like going after Pac-12, and part of that could have been contributed because the Pac-12 network not being on most cable networks. But regardless of that fact, just the popularity and interest in the Pac-12 has been dwindling over the past decade or so. And yeah, I guess, Pac-12 commissioner, his proposals to revive Pac-12, bring it back to the Conference of Champions that they used to be called, did not quite entice Oregon and Washington, so they're out. But yeah, in terms of just, regardless of the Pac-12 just kind of fumbling that move, just from a fan perspective, fan outlook, change is coming. Things are happening soon, and I don't think like people are quite realizing that this is happening in a year. So like in 12 months from now, like these things are about to come into effect. But with all these things, another thing I want to highlight about the college football playoff going to 12 games in 2 years also, real quick. So today, Everett, the first edition of the coaches poll came out, and 15 of the top 25 teams will be playing for the Big Ten or the SEC. The top 7 teams in these rankings play for the Big Ten or SEC. Actually, 8 of the top 10 are playing for the Big Ten or the SEC. One thing I want to point out, though, our very own, our boys in green, the fearless, the up-and-coming boys, Tulane Green Wave, were ranked the only non-Power 5 school ranked in the initial coaches poll. Now, the deep dive Tulane preview is not coming up yet. We are still working on that. I'm still in the midst of the tape I'm going through and all the scouting that the extensive scouting that I've been doing for this Tulane breakdown, which will be dropping shortly. But Tulane Green Wave, in terms of right now, Everett, the way that the 12-team college football playoff is set up in 2024 is that the 5 conference teams with the highest seedings will make it no matter what. And the way it's standing right now, or the 6 conferences, my bad, my apologies. So it was planning on being the Power 5 and then one Group of 5 champion. However, with the moving parts and everything, the Pac-12 having 4 teams in its conference right now for 2024, I'm almost 99% sure that rule is going to be modified or changed if the Pac-12 isn't able to salvage their conference.
If the Pac-12 basically dissolves, let's put it that way. If it no longer exists.
Essentially.
Let's also ask this: if the Pac-12 does dissolve, obviously that has playoff implications, but do we leave it there's no conference that then jumps into the Power 5, right? It's still flat.
Well,
still
right.
The same
well,
thing.
I mean, there's, in terms of the college football playoff, they didn't explicitly say the 5 Power 5 conferences get on. They just said the 6 best conference champs. So like, they're not even specifying Power 5 in the college football playoff. So like, in terms of the way it's standing right now, like last year, actually not a good example just because people are moving around. But like right now, Tulane does not want that change. Tulane wants to have that because right now,
you're saying Tulane
does not want that rule to change. They want the 6 conference champions to be auto bid in. They want that to stay in effect. We'll see what happens, though. This is what I fear, Everett, and I don't think you're going to like it. This is what I fear. I fear that somehow the SEC and the Big Ten are going to lobby and make it so that like 4 SEC teams are guaranteed in it every year or something like that along those lines, which I think is not the craziest thing to assume.
I don't think that it's crazy, but also let's just look back at the way that the playoff format was originally produced to be, right?
With
you
just
have
the 4-team?
No. The 12-team playoff,
okay.
Right? So we have our conference champions, all right? We have them in there, the top 5, 6 conferences, whatever, right? The rest of them fill out according by seed, okay? If you have Big Ten, SEC, ACC, whatever teams, obviously we already know that they're favorited conferences by the way that things are ranked, but per the SEC specifically, all right? So to me, they might argue, but it doesn't really make sense because that's already going to kind of be the case, right? Because the rest of those teams that fill out the 6 remaining spots of the 12-team playoff,
probably going to end up being SEC.
It's probably going to go by seed, and it's probably going to end up being SEC.
Yeah.
You can't be like, we deserve four spots, because that also completely fucking destroys the entire notion of why we built a 12-team playoff in the first place.
I'm with that. Like, I can see that somehow happening, because I mean, a lot of people in that college football playoff committee are members. Well,
let's look at the SEC right now, and just the way that
do you want me to list the teams they have in the current coaches top 25 poll?
Let's do that, and let's look at the teams in total that are currently in there. Also, let's
Georgia at 1, Alabama at 3, LSU at 5, Tennessee at 10, Texas at 12, Oklahoma at 19, Ole Miss at 22, Texas A&M at 25. That's 8.
So looking at the SEC, these are the teams that we know 100% per the way things are looking right now. They will be in and out of competing for the championship, right? We have Bama.
4-team playoff?
For a 12-team. If this is a 12-team.
This year?
Yes.
Okay.
Bama, Georgia, LSU. I mean, Ole Miss is ranked, but we're not going to count them in Tennessee. So we have 4 teams.
Well, Tennessee, I wouldn't put in there. I'd say maybe Texas.
So three teams, okay? If we do a 12-team playoff, right? I'm not going to lie. Ole Miss's boots, their butt cheeks, all right? So they're not
well, also, Ole Miss is not going to finish as a top 25 team. I wouldn't
that. Oh, yeah, because they're not going to be in the top 25 after week 2 when we beat the shit out of them.
That ended suck.
Bama will be there. Georgia will be there, okay? LSU will be there. We have 3. Tennessee, Joe Milton, not everybody's sold on. That's a borderline, okay? So it's still 3 or 4. And those are probably at least those 3 are going to be bids in either way by ranking. And they're going to be.
I like Georgia, Bama, LSU, and Texas. I think I have a shot for this year.
Texas?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Texas did move.
Texas and the SEC. People forget it all started with Texas and Oklahoma. That's how this all started.
I'd say that those 4.
Ironically, the 2 biggest moves are the ones people kind of sleep on the most. Texas.
Those 4, those 4, I would say, are perennially expected to be in the playoffs, and because of that, I wouldn't expect them to do anything because we're assuming that they're going to be in anyways.
What do you mean not do anything? What do you mean? Like
the NCAA is not going to be like, yeah, we're going to give you 4 spots anyways.
Oh, from that angle. Oh, okay. Like from the Big Ten though, this kind of interests me. Now it'll be hard to bring in new talent to compete with Georgia, Bama's, LSU's, and just like how they're able to recruit. But
to be honest,
the teams that the Big Ten have added, I'll go through their rankings right now. The teams they added are ranked very highly.
Let's also look at this. I know I'm interrupting you real quick, but let's also look at this. One, I think that the conference that gets screwed the most by any of this, surprisingly, is the one that had the biggest effect on realignment, and that's the Big 12. I think the Big 12 gets screwed the most out of having a 12-team format with this, because looking at the teams that they have in here, right? There really isn't gonna like there's not a guarantee outside of that 1 seed. On top of that, okay, general statement.
It's so competitive. The Big 12, they just
this is the next thing though. Given a 12-team format and given the new conferences and the realignment, all right, 100% likely, 100%, I guarantee it.
Okay,
there will be multiple teams in with multiple losses in the playoffs.
Oh, of course. Well, duh.
But like beforehand, right? We know that with 100% with a 4-team playoff, I mean, it is really difficult.
That only there will be 1 or 2 undefeated teams and 2, 3.
Literally, there might just be the 2 conference champions of the SEC and the Big Ten. Those might be. I mean, I guess technically the Big 12 could be 2, but those are the only 2 that will have to be most likely undefeated.
This
actually, I take that back. It's more difficult. So I take that back. Those conferences are going to be harder so you can make the conference championship with 2 losses or whatever. And those teams can all have 2 losses. I take that back.
Well, this is the thing. I just don't know if they'll have the conference championship. I'm interested to see what those guarantees
you think that
will be moving forward. They might reduce it from
They
6.
could.
I mean, we'll see what they end up doing.
The other thing too, by the way, I saw this floating around, an idea of like, okay, would you rather have conference realignment and then there's no playoffs and it's just the championship games, the big conferences, or would you rather have the playoffs? Dude, that is the most stupid question.
I don't quite follow the question.
This guy, okay, he was saying, okay, would you rather have the big conferences, just massive conferences, and only have championship games, no interconference play where you're having a playoff? You rather have that, or would you rather have not mega super duper conferences or still mega super duper conferences and have the playoffs? That, like I said, is the stupidest question you could physically ask. If you personally think that you would rather have 2 conference championships or whatever than playoffs,
oh no, obviously not.
You clearly are not a sports fan. You're not a fan of college football.
There's still going to be conference championships. Those aren't.
There's still going to be, but you'd be stupid to not want the playoffs.
No, yeah, I'm just interested what the question he's posing. Like, it's not like
he was basically saying he was saying that, like, instead of having the playoffs run, just have the championships, because the conferences are so big. There's no reason to have them all play through the playoffs. But the thing is, with part of the playoffs, even if you have the mega conferences, part of it is, one, the reason why it's expanded now is seeing if we can get the Cinderella stories, right? Having the March Madness kind of vibe. You have extended football, right? You have more football to watch, more important football to watch.
That's what it comes down to, really.
It drives investments per, like, these smaller teams. Like if Tulane went into the playoffs, right? Everybody's dialed in. You're spending so much money on that. So
I mean, there's even reports of like when I believe like when Wichita State was making their runs to the Final Four every year, like that literally boosted like enrollments and like applications every single year. Like that literally made a massive
difference for this year. Tulane for this year for our academics, for our applications, it is way, way, way up compared to last year.
Yeah, because it helps those small schools a ton. But remember, Everett, at the end of the day, it comes down to just those extra playoff games. The big guys at Fox and ESPN are just drowning right now, and they love it. And that's what it really comes down to.
You know who's not drowning and loving it?
As long as they keep liking it, it'll keep on coming.
You know who's not drowning and liking it, though?
The 4
Apple TV.
Pac-12. Oh, yeah, them as well.
Yeah, they're not liking it. They're not.
Lionel Messi included. He's not the biggest fan of it either. But yeah, I just want to say, 15 of the 25 teams in the top 25 poll will be playing.
Last thing on realignment. Unless we want to talk more about it. This is the funniest things that I've seen coming out of this are the memes about USC kids waking up for their 6 a.m. PST game versus Minnesota in blizzard conditions. Or Oregon and Washington.
Well, not that early, 9 a.m.s, but it's brutal.
Oregon and Washington students waking up at 6 a.m. so they can watch the 9 a.m. kickoffs in East Lansing.
I mean, my least favorite part about some Ohio State games at like 9 a.m. kickoff. Like, it's a little too early for the West Coast. A little too early.
9 a.m. Eastern time, right? That's what we're talking about.
No. Their games start at noon. That's the earliest. Eastern time, noon for Big Ten. That's
yeah. Well, I'm talking like the pregame, like you have the
No, I'm saying like for the players, like staying on Pacific Coast time if it's a 9 a.m. kickoff.
Yeah, but I'm saying people waking up at like the 6 a.m. for the pregames and all that stuff. Just brutal.
Actually, it's also like even on the flip side, like Rutgers coming out to UCLA or like to Oregon, they're just like, if it's
Oregon
midnight for their time.
If it's Oregon, like we said before, Oregon and Washington have the 2 biggest time advantages or disadvantages depending on which direction they go.
Yeah. Like the West Coast, you can be really screwed. We'll see how all those things take us. But yeah, conference realignment is here. It's happening. It's
okay.
People. Everett, what I want to have. So I got my college football quarterback rankings for this season. I also was taking, I'll have to give my rankings first. So it'll make more sense afterwards, what we're going to do shortly afterwards. But there's a special name special man, may or may not have been the reigning lefty Dick-Strong quarterback of the year, but there's one man that we've kept our eyes on this season, a name that we feel like is very disrespected, doesn't get the credit he deserves among the national media. So for those people living under a rock and haven't been enlightened to the talents that this man has, we'll do it for you right here. So, okay, college football quarterback rankings. I guess we'll just go 10-1. Yeah, we'll go 10-1. Okay. KJ Jefferson, Cam Rising, Jaden Daniels, Sam Hartman, Jordan Travis, Bo Nix, Michael Penix, Michael Pratt, Drake May, and Caleb Williams. I just want to start off with this. Michael Pratt, the reigning lefty Dick-Strong quarterback of the year, for the man who exemplifies not only the best athletic and just technical talents that a quarterback should display, but also the off the field metrics, leadership abilities, the things that you can't quantify in the stat book, but you can through an interview, and you can if you could measure heart. Unfortunately, we can't. But if you could, she would be the top of this list. So Michael Pratt, I wish I knew his middle name. That probably would have been better, but I don't know his middle name. Let's say it's Jeffrey. Michael Jeffrey Pratt, what he's going to do next season, it's going to break college football. I don't think people are ready to see what he's about to do. But
I'm also just going to say this now.
Deep dive breakdown for our official
do not be surprised when you start hearing the name Michael Pratt
come draft
time, talked about in first round prospect manner. First round prospect.
So, Everett, while we're on the subject, I just want to highlight, so there were a couple of different sources I looked at to, kind of gauge where other people were ranking quarterbacks to see what they were doing. There was a part of me thinking yesterday, like, I wonder where they'll have guys like Pratt on there. Like, would Kyle McCord, the new, well, we don't know who the new Ohio State quarterback is.
JJ McCarthy.
Likely going to be McCord. Where is he going to be on there? JJ McCarthy. What about him? Sam Hartman getting transferred in, Bo Nix, Michael Penix, all these things. So of the four lists where I'd consider them like notable college football resources, one of them not really, but they just get it for the benefit of the doubt because of their name. I was expecting Michael Pratt to be noticed in here. I was expecting to see a lot of SEC names getting flashed around at the end. But the lack of Michael Pratt was disheartening, to say the least. So 24/7, they ranked Michael Pratt as the 9th best quarterback entering the 2023 season. Shame on you. 24/7, they had JJ McCarthy ahead of him. PFF, Pro Football Focus, they had Michael Pratt listed as the 10th best quarterback heading into the 2023 season. And On3 and ESPN both decided to not put Michael Pratt in their top 10 quarterbacks heading into the 2023 season. So, this is an abomination to college football, really, people. You know what? It's just a thing, though, that happens. People, they don't scout the player. They don't scout the arm. They scout the helmet. They scout the team. That's how they think.
Well, let's put it this way. If they scouted the helmet, they would love Tulane because we got one of the best helmets in the game. But
what I mean more so
by school
legacy.
I got you.
Yeah. If they were going off swag, well, he'd be number one. But that's a debate for another day.
Yeah, Caleb's close though with the finger paint. So
close. If you put NIL deals on there, I think he might be moving up. I think he might be taking out Everett. I hate to say it, but I think he'd take it. But yeah, for now, it's disrespectful and it's disgusting, really. The lack of Michael Pratt, just not even praise, just respect.
I mean, also, look, he's gonna have a fantastic year this year. He's getting the keys. All right. He's getting the keys. Last year, our favorite guy, favorite Titan, Tajay Spears. It's the Tajay Spears show, right? Michael Pratt had his episodes, right? He was a reoccurring, actor, reoccurring whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Reoccurring character. Reoccurring character. But now he's got his own show. We went from Family Guy to the Cleveland Brown show, all right? The Tajay Spears show to the Michael Pratt show. Yeah. He's going to show everybody why he's going to be a first-round pick come April, come March, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, yeah, those are college football quarterback rankings for the year heading into it. Yeah, also, just real quick, going back to that list, I didn't have any first-time starters on that list. If I were to include first-time stars, you bet your ass Kyle McCord slot in there at 4, but I didn't do that. I have some, I want to give other guys some praise.
Is there non-biasly, are there any starters outside of Kyle McCord that you think who are first-time stars do you think could be in the top 10?
The Drew Aller hype is here. The Drew Aller hype is everywhere. I think he can do it. I just got to see a Penn State quarterback do it first.
You're saying entering, but this is entering the season though, so probably not.
I'm talking just projecting into the season.
Projecting. Okay.
Entering. Okay. Oh, entering. I wouldn't have anyone.
Yeah. So that's what this is. This is entering. Yeah. This is entering week 1. Okay. For the NFL.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Unless it's like Trevor Lawrence, because I mean, but let's move on to the NFL. We'll wrap it with this. First thing that I want to say.
I got some breaking news real quick, actually. For the NFL. Richard Sherman has reached an agreement to join FS1's Undisputed following Shannon Sharpe's exit. He will be on Undisputed about 50 to 100 shows per year and will continue his role with Amazon for Thursday Night Football. I'm pretty sure they also announced that Lil Wayne will be doing Thursdays for Undisputed, so they don't have a nailed-in co-host with Skip.
So they can't replace Sterling Shepard is what it sounds like. Sterling Sharpe, sorry.
Who? Shannon Sharpe?
Shannon Sharpe. I'm thinking it was brother.
Sterling Sharpe.
No, brother.
I was like, brother. Sterling Shepard? Is he the new co-host?
Like, no. Sterling Sharpe is his brother.
I mean, Shannon, I think Stephen A has said he still wants Shannon to come on for First Take. We'll see if ESPN.
I would want to. Stephen A. Smith with Shannon Sharpe would be
that would be so entertaining. I don't
be amazing.
Afford it, but I'd love it.
Okay. All right, so I got a couple of things in here. I got a story as well. I got my 2 lists. I've got a question for us to ponder. First things first. This is just a fun fact going from college football into this. Sony Michel retired earlier this past week or a week and a half ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Stetson Bennett and Sony Michel were on the same team at Georgia. Sony Michel retired this week. He played for 4 different teams and was drafted in the first round, and he won 2 Super Bowls before he retired. This is Stetson Bennett's first year in the NFL. Keep in mind that Sony Michel has been in the NFL for 4 or 5 seasons, and they played for the same team at Georgia.
Yeah.
Stetson Bennett's old man.
I think he's 25.
Yeah. That's just crazy. That's just crazy to me, though, that you can win 2 Super Bowls, play for 4 different teams, 5 seasons, whatever, 6 seasons. I don't remember what it is. And they played for the same team together.
Yeah. It's kind of ridiculous.
Other thing, talking about our mud fight from the other week.
Oh.
Jim Irsay. Jim Irsay has come back to the spotlight for reasons, once again, for slighting Jonathan Taylor. Jim Irsay said he was going to spend $20 million to move a endangered orca whale across the United States instead of paying Jonathan Taylor. Obviously, we're all for saving aquatic life-saving animals, but it is funny that he is spending $20 million doing this instead of paying a running back.
Yeah, I mean, if there is a positive spin zone for this, the orca population, it's dwindling. We need to
Shamu.
We need to do
our favorite
hashtag protect the killer whales.
One of our favorite clips of all time is you going, Shamu killed people, right?
I'm almost positive Shamu maybe not killed, but seriously injured one of their trainers. I'm also not sure if Shamu's male or female. So
I think it's a female, but
yeah, Shamu, I wouldn't fuck with her. All right. She's a woman on a mission. All right. She's a woman with a plan. Okay. I would not fuck with her. Okay.
Okay. Next thing. Next thing, and then I have a question for us to debate. Well, let's embrace debate after this. All right. This is my story. This is my Peyton Manning story. Okay. I think you are gonna love this, listeners, watchers, viewers. You are gonna love this. This is from Adam Schefter's podcast, an Outkick. Okay.
Okay.
Peyton Manning, when he played for the Broncos in 2015, wanted Joe Thomas, legendary Hall of Fame left tackle for the Browns, to join him. Okay. Peyton was conscious that the Browns didn't really want to trade Joe Thomas. All right.
Yeah.
So this is what he told Joe Thomas to try and get him to get a trade. Okay. He told Joe Thomas to, quote, "I think you should go up to your GM's office and shit on his desk. Pull your pants down, stand on his desk, and take a shit."
And we have confirmation that the sheriff told him to do this.
Yes, Peyton Manning told Joe Thomas that in order to get traded from the Browns, who did not want to trade him, that he should go, quote, "take a shit on the Browns GM desk."
Cleveland Browns on the GM.
Literally make a Cleveland Brown on the Browns desk.
Okay. All right. Okay. I think this really skews our all-time badass quarterback ranking list. So I had Dan Marino and Brett Favre up there at 1 and 2 for the longest time, but holy shit, Peyton Manning might be making his way up that list after hearing these quotes.
If there's something that I literally would cry tears of joy to get to watch, is Peyton Manning and Eli Manning talking about this on their Monday night. I can also
see Big Arch being like, "Peyton, just tell him to shit on his GM's desk." All right.
What do you think they're putting in Arch Manning's head over there? I don't want to know. Texas.
I don't want to know what they're telling him.
You're not getting PT behind
slash Quinn Ewers' car's tires. Let's just slash them. Like,
I would literally pay to have Eli Manning and Peyton Manning talk about it on the Manning cast. If they got Joe Thomas on as the guest too, and they got to talk about it, that would be amazing. Oh my God.
You know, like when it comes to these NFL families, any athletic families in general, there's a bit of a tendency for the dads to be a little bit controlling here. Like, I know the Bosas, when they were both signing their contracts, their dad was holding them out like, "No, Joey needs to get paid more. Nick needs to get paid more." Like, Nick is currently holding out, and I bet it's his dad who's doing the negotiations. But that I wouldn't be surprised if Big Archie Manning was just like, "All right, Peyton, Eli, I have he did it with Eli, force him out of San Diego, that piece of shit." So, okay, we know that they're pulling strings behind the scenes.
Speaking of San Diego, that's a perfect transition to my let's embrace debate. All right, let's embrace debate for preference. So you know what we're talking about.
I don't know.
Apparently, if the 49ers made the Super Bowl, if they had beaten the Eagles, this is post Brock Purdy injury. All right. So this is, let's say, during the game after the Brock Purdy was hurt. All right. If they had made the Super Bowl, they would have called Phillip Rivers to come and start for them in the Super Bowl versus the Chiefs. Now, this raises my question for Let's Embrace Debate. If you had to have one quarterback,
get it over.
This is not a starting quarterback currently, right? This is a retired or free agent quarterback
for one game.
Come take the reins for one game only, and that game is the biggest game of your life.
Oh, I know who my answer is.
Who would have? And keep in mind, this is everybody right now in their current state. This is 54-year-old Brett Favre, skinny as twigs, Andrew Luck. All right, who are you calling?
Tom Brady. No hesitation.
Tom Brady's not answering the phone. Let's clarify that.
Okay.
He's not answering.
I was about to say,
right?
But this is a trick question. This is a no-brainer.
No. This is not Tom Brady. All right. Like, you have to assume that they're going to say yes. Tom Brady would not say yes. In that situation, Tom Brady most certainly would say yes. But let's assume he was still on the Bucs.
Can we count players currently unsigned to teams, or do they have to be retired? Let's do retired.
Who would you say if it was just a free agent?
I was thinking maybe Teddy Two Gloves.
To be in the Super Bowl?
Just for one game. Like, I don't know who else is available right now, but like.
Yeah. I just feel like Super Bowl, you're like, "Hey, Teddy, you're gonna be starting the Super Bowl next week, man." I'd be hyped and then immediately
I wouldn't pick Nick Foles anymore. even though I'm pretty sure he's unsigned. I could be wrong on that.
I think he retired.
Oh, I wouldn't pick him. I wouldn't pick him.
You know who I would pick?
I think I might. Yeah, I want to go first because I won't actually come up with a name if you say one first. So I think I'm gonna go with. Yeah, no, we're doing this kind of a troll funny answer. Cardale Jones. He's done it before, being thrusted in there suddenly without any prior notice. Cardale Jones. That's my selection.
Okay. Now a real answer, please. Okay. An actual answer.
I think I might go Ben Roethlisberger.
Do you think he'd come out of retirement for that though? I don't know if
for
it's
a game.
Super Bowl.
Well, this is the thing about Ben is that like I'm waiting for it. It's gonna happen. Maybe not this training camp, but 100% next training camp. He's gonna show up to the Steelers facility, be like, "What's up, guys?" You're like, "What the fuck? Why are you?" He's like, "Training camp. Of course I'm here. What the hell, guys?" Like I could just see Ben just showing up.
He also was just so worn down though, like physically from the NFL. And on top of that, keep in mind, we called him Big Ben, and that's under an NFL training program.
Well, I think I'd be really impressed if he's lost weight post-retirement.
No, I think he put on weight.
Definitely
that's the issue here.
Which I think I'm okay with it. I think I could roll with that.
Okay. Philip Rivers, I think honestly would probably be one of the best options.
I was trying to just not pick him, but
let's say we can't pick him because he's been selected. All right, that's a cop out.
Breeze for a second, no.
Bree's arm is just too. It's just too. It's not great.
I think the best. Oh my God, this probably doesn't count, but Chad Kelly, because he's CFL. Like technically,
true.
Like, does that count?
True.
Like
we can count it, but we're talking about retired players. Yeah, I guess I think he's Ryan Fitzmagic.
Ooh, that's a good answer. That's a good answer.
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Good answer. Shit.
I know that he's going to lead my team to victory.
At the minimum,
no doubt.
He'll leave no regrets on the field at the bare
100%.
That's all you can ask for a guy getting slotted in.
I'm trying to think. I mean, look, Peyton Manning would probably say no. Eli would say no.
I also wouldn't want Peyton. Like the last time he played.
Last time was not
9 years ago. Shit.
Yeah, it was not great.
It was horrifying. I was like scared, holding my breath every single time he dropped back. I was like,
wouldn't want Matt Ryan. Probably not. No,
he's done after last year. You saw the shit that Colts put up. Nah, he's done. I think
the best if Andrew Luck had not lost like 100 pounds,
it would be him. Yeah,
it would be him. Tim Tebow,
and he would say no, and Luck would say no. So
Tim Tebow.
No.
We're not going to get into this, but do you take Colin Kaepernick?
I was thinking about that kind of as a little troll answer at first, but I mean, like,
I also just think, and he says he's working out, but in general, it's been like what 8 years has he been in the league? Like it's not a serious. It's clipped. It's clipped. But no, I'm taking Ryan Fitzmagic, and then my second option.
I like the Fitzmagic. My
second option is probably Josh McCown. I'm being dead serious.
All right,
probably Josh McCown. If it can't be Philip.
Big Brock. See what he's up to. But yeah.
I don't know about. I don't know about all that one. I don't know about that one.
Yeah, maybe not, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We're gonna end today. I have 2 surprising keeps and cuts for the episode. Hopefully, I pronunciate all these guys' names right. I have no idea if that's gonna happen.
Nice.
Okay. Jaguars surprising keeps and cuts. Here we go. Keep JaMychal Hasty and Dearness Johnson, Garrett Prince, Shaquille Quarterman, Clavon Chason, Chris Claybrooks. Cut. Snoop Connor, Tim Jones, and Kendrick Pryor.
Yeah, I would say, not names I can necessarily give a strong opinion.
I'm pretty sure, by the way, it's Clavon Chason. That's his name is Clavon Chason, not Clavon. I think it's Clavon Chason.
I think it's that, or I think it might be Clavon. I think I've heard that before.
Clavon?
3 syllables. No positive confirmation on that. But I think I've heard that before.
There's probably a Clavon in there.
Okay. Don't look at me for that. I don't know.
Anyways, they keep 4 running backs on the roster, okay? And 4 tight ends. Just also, in my opinion, Clavon Chason, he's a definite cut candidate. That's why I think that he's keep, even though he declined his 5th-year option. I think if you decline that, they definitely could cut him this offseason. I think they'll keep him. Hopefully, as a good year. But and Chris Claybooks. Why does that happen twice? Claybrooks. Maybe we have a list. He is under investigation for some things, but has, I think, been acquitted. I don't really know. Everywhere that I've read have him staying, so he's going to be there. You can decide if you want to take that one out or not. See how long the segment is.
Okay, I'll have to look into him, but yeah, okay. Jax.
Okay.
Duval.
Lions, surprising keeps and cuts. Keep Mo Ibrahim, Khalif Raymond, Trey Quinn, and Brandon Joseph, and cut Craig Reynolds, Romeo Okwara, Julian Okwara, Graham Glasgow, and Levi Onwuzurike.
All right. Just when you said that name, I just need to make sure real quick. Okay. Yeah. So Brandon Joseph, if I have this remembered correctly, Ohio State really wanted to get Brandon Joseph out of the transfer portal, but missed on him and he went to Notre Dame instead. So I think that's how I remember him.
Who are we talking about here?
Brandon Joseph, safety.
Yes, went to Notre Dame. Yes, from Northwestern.
Speaking of Teddy Bridgewater, the Detroit Lions have signed Teddy Bridgewater.
It just happened right now.
Right now.
So I guess you can't say Teddy. You gotta have a new answer.
Yeah, Teddy is off that list, guys. Well, now that Teddy's on team, what are you gonna do?
Well, hold on. We might need to add. I might need to add something real quick. Give me a second. Yeah,
Hendon Hooker's currently on physically unable to play. I think he's projected to return at the end of the season. I don't know how. He tore his ACL in October last year, but
yeah. So here's the deal. I have to add a player to this now. I'm pretty sure Nate Sudfeld is on the team. He's got to get cut.
See ya, Nate. Sorry, bro.
Yeah. So we're gonna redo this. Keep Mohamed Ibrahim, Khalif Raymond, Trey Quinn, and Brandon Joseph, and cut Craig Reynolds, Romeo Okwara, Julian Okwara, Graham Glasgow, Levi Onwuzurike, and Nate Sudfeld.
So seeing them sign Teddy, what that indicates to me is first, Nate Sudfeld was definitely not the guy to be the backup. And 2, Hendon Hooker is probably not going to be ready to come back this year at all. That's kind of what that's.
I don't really think that matters that much, because there is the new rules about having players on the active roster, and they don't really he can be practicing and stuff. They just might not activate him, or they might activate him and not dress him.
I'm just not sure if he'll be healthy this year ever.
Probably not. They probably also want to take it slowly. And if Jared Goff has a good season, Hendon Hooker might not even be the future starter for the Lions.
Oh yeah. Kind of shit to a degree. I'm kind of banking on maybe play well in the preseason, go get traded.
If I'm the Lions, hopefully Jared Goff plays well this year and he's in my system. He's still young. Hendon Hooker, trade you to a QB needy team. I'd trade him to the Packers in 2 years.
You could get maybe another 6 years out of him,
trade Hendon Hooker to the Packers in a year and a half when Jordan loves his boots. Bad.
That might be happening sooner than we think. We don't know. I know it would break your heart, but I'm just talking from just a Chargers fan perspective here. It doesn't really look into the Packers that hard. I just see no possible way that Jordan Love becomes a franchise. I just do not see it happening at all.
They've been showing, this is the issue with Cam too. You and I talked about this. You and I got into this. I have an opinion that there are certain position groups in camp that actually matter when it's getting information about how they're playing, how they're going to play, if they're going to get, if they're a player that is going to get a lot of PT, if it's doing well, where they are on the depth chart. And there are other positions where it doesn't matter at all. Quarterback is one of those positions where it does not matter at all in training camp. In the preseason games definitely matters a little bit. Training camp itself and what we see from camp when they're playing their own defense does not matter at all for a quarterback. So everything that Jordan Love is doing, I've seen him threading needles. I've seen him doing all this stuff, doing like no look passes, like everything that's going like that. All right, awesome in theory, but it's against his own defense. It really doesn't matter. What matters for quarterbacks is the preseason games. For my opinion, especially with the Vikings, wide receivers, DBs, the lines, and middle linebackers are the spots that matter the most for training camp that actually shows you kind of how they're doing. I know you don't agree with that, but
yeah, I would say one kind of belief that I'm on the opinion on is that when it comes to like, this is more so talking coach press conferences, but even like training camp, like things come out, like little quotes and things come out. Just kind of one thing that I always like to come back to is that there's nothing in an NFL coach's contract that forces them to tell the truth.
So here's the difference between what you're saying and what I'm saying, though. I'm not relying on what coaches say. I'm not relying on
I'm saying that. Even that into a degree, but like also when it comes to training camp highlights and shit, like I would say this year the names I'm seeing just way too many highlights of is Bijan, Jackson Smith and Jigba, not really Aaron Rodgers, I would say. I've been seeing a lot of Derek Carr, but that might just be me.
So here's the thing, though. Like for me, for Vikings, like it depends where you get your information. For me, I get my information
from the Chargers shit. I'm seeing everyone's raving over Josh Palmer.
I'm getting information from different people that are there watching it as just like public people.
Yeah, I'm saying like for my Chargers information, like I'm just getting all the beat writers and shit out there for that, and everyone's raving over Josh Palmer. Where I don't know, if you ask me, like if you watch anything from Josh Palmer last year, you'd notice like he's not that good at football. He just happened to start because Keenan and Mike Williams were hurt. But it's guys like that getting hyped up, like a Gabe Davis last year. Like if the player's lit, then news about them in training camp, who cares? Like, for example, like a Garrett Wilson, right? Or like a Justin Jefferson when he was coming up. Like those training camp highlights, like, yeah, I mean, dude's a first round pick. Like he probably should be mossing the training.
Also, I just want to state this is the last thing that I'm going to say, and we can end the episode in a second. The Vikings unofficial depth chart came out, and it had Justin Jefferson, wide receiver 1, KJ Osborne as 2, Jalen Naylor as 3, and Jordan Addison as 4. Okay. The one thing that this is compared, the unofficial depth charts, you do not want to read into that shit at all. It is meaningless. Okay. That is meaningless. And the biggest thing to note is Justin Jefferson was stated literally because of the way the depth chart works. And it's the same exact news account every time. So I do not trust this news account at all. Posted the same thing after this year's depth chart came out, but when it was for Justin Jefferson's rookie year, they were like, yeah, Justin Jefferson is not ranked. Like is fighting for the number 3 position coming into the season. Like hopefully he'll earn his way to number 3. I understand you have Adam Thielen, but they were like Olabisi Johnson surprise at number 2. If you really think that Olabisi Johnson,
don't know who that
is going to be the official wide receiver 2. I mean, Mike Zimmer's a little bit crazy. He doesn't like rookies, but yeah. Okay. So take everything with a grain of salt. Jalen Naylor, amazing. KJ Osborne, great. Okay. Jordan Addison was drafted in the first round for a reason. He's going to play.
You don't draft a receiver in the first round. You're like wide receiver 5.
This news account, who I will not name. I'm not giving you any credibility. Okay.
I know who it might be, but yeah.
They were like, Jordan Addison at wide receiver 4 TJ Hawkinson, obvious number 2 target choice for the Vikings based on depth chart. I'm like, that makes zero sense at all.
Yeah, you can't look at the depth. Like, I mean, in my opinion, I just think TJ Hawkinson will end up having the second most targets on the team. I'm just thinking just of how he was used last year.
Yeah.
How often he was used.
It's going to be a good offense. It'll be a good offense. But with that, thank you guys so much for watching, listening, rate us 5 stars. You can find us on Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, which we'll be posting more on, hopefully, at Waterboy Pod. Make sure to follow me and Grant on Twitter or X at Everett Sakes and at Waterboy Grant. We post new content every Tuesday, Thursday, new episodes, shorts every day, and TikToks every day except for Monday. We'll hopefully be posting out more on Instagram, just infographics and stuff with that. And we'll be live streaming soon, especially with Madden coming out. We have special plans, so stay tuned for information on that. You do not want to miss it. Make sure you follow us on Twitter so you can get the updates about that. And with that, thank you guys so much. Waterboys out.